building the business turns you into a different kind of human being.
Realize that failure is a part of the journey.
I think there's hope out there for all of us.
They say procrastination be the assassination of destinations. That's why we out here grinding with no association with haters and them other crabs trying to put us down. Pest badges in the house, boy, don't clown. Just keep your eyes on the prize, ain't no giving up. You can do whatever you dream of. Just keep your eyes on the prize, ain't no giving up. You can do whatever you
Welcome back to another episode of Pest Control Millionaire. I don't think these guys need any introduction, but I'm going to introduce them anyway. Yeah, Jason and Jeremy Julio. They're obviously the hosts of the Boardroom Buzz. They've had a couple of successful exits already in pest control. They're obviously super successful. They're really good at podcasting. And they actually just started a really cool business doing pooping scooping. So we'll talk a lot about that. Super excited to have you guys on the show. You know, I was on your podcast a couple of weeks ago, and which was a lot of fun. Like I said, before we started the podcast, we were just talking about me being on the other side of it's kind of cool. So now I get to hear your guys' story, which I've never heard before. So I'm really excited to hear it. You guys are studs. We finally got to meet at Pest World. Made you guys eat a bug with me for a challenge.
That's right.
Hey, but you guys got a book out of the deal, so it's probably worth it. Took some pictures.
It's a great book, by the way. Great book.
I appreciate it. And got to take some pictures of you guys. And we had a good time, short time that we got to spend together. But both of you guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jonas, for having us, man. Super pumped.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like, we're all in the same industry. We're doing podcasting. But we're all just, like, willing to help each other out, which is so cool. Like, that's what I love about this industry. That's what I love about podcasting. Like, it's just super cool to see. So, again, I love it. So thanks for being here.
I think that's a great point. Between all the guys podcasting, between you and Draper and us, it's like, people ask, well, you had these exits and you built a business, and why are you still like getting involved? I love, talking to you guys, being involved, going down to Pest World and seeing everything and everybody and what's going on. I think one of the things that attributed to our success with Last Bite and Total Home was the relationships that we built, throughout the years. I can name a handful of people that, when we first started, that I reached out to. Maybe not immediately, getting off the ground, but I think once we were in that like growth phase, reaching out to Ryan Cladisberg of Mr. Mister, Brian Hopkins at Quick Pest Control in Georgia, Luke Lewis down Florida, all those guys are awesome guys and were able to give back to us. And it wasn't just a one-way street. It was something that we were able to kind of like, go back and forth with where, we actually helped them just as much as they helped us, So it was kind of a two-way street, but putting ourselves out there and building those awesome relationships was like the foundation of how we kind of jump-started our business, but then also why we're still involved today.
Yeah, and again, I think I mentioned on your podcast, like we all get to learn together, and then we have the benefit of the listeners getting to learn at the same time, which is super awesome. And there's so much information out there. Like, yeah, it's cool if you have coaches. Coaches are great. There's some awesome coaches like out there like you guys. But there's so much free information that if you can't afford, you're just getting going, all this information is there. And it's so cool, like the amount of messages that you guys probably get, that we get, that are helping all these newer entrepreneurs out is super rewarding for sure.
Yeah, you guys just started that Facebook page.
Yeah.
That has a ton of information, and it's great because people go on there and ask questions all the time, and you get all this great feedback.
Yeah, and I can't believe how fast the thing's growing. Like, we just started it, like, I think at Pest World last year we had like 300 people in it, and I was like, okay, we have to get this thing rolling active. And now we're at, what day is it today? Today is the 19th of March, I think, right? And we're like at 3,200 people already. Like, so it went fast, which is super cool.
Yeah, and then if you're not a member in that group or are listening to this podcast and you're in pest control, shame on you. Right, and it's interesting that you said that, because one of the things that like kind of comes to my attention is when we first started, we didn't have these groups. We had similar groups, Pest Cemetery and other pest owners, whatever. groups, and I would reach out, and people are very helpful. But then I would talk to other people outside of, you know, our industry out in the real world. And they're like, hey, you do that? You ask them, you talk to these people that you don't know over social media? I'm like, yeah, they're great. They answer my questions. They help me get through these problems, you know? And I think like some people didn't feel comfortable doing that. And I think some people still today are kind of hesitant of doing stuff like that. I don't know why. But
you don't think my competitors in my local markets listen to my podcast or in my groups? Like, I let them in my group, and they're my direct competitor. I do not care. There's enough work for everyone. It's a big world out there.
Yeah.
And they might not all like me, but it shows that they're listening to the podcast and they're watching the YouTube channel and in our group that they might not like me, but they respect me.
Who's not going to like you, Jonas?
Well, I'm just saying. I don't know that. Yeah, I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't know. But I'm sure, like, we all have haters, and if we don't have haters, we're not doing something right.
Right.
Sometimes you just wake up and you piss in someone's Cheerios and you didn't even know. Oh, sorry, I didn't know we weren't friends today. I don't know. It's a small world, you know, like getting into these small markets too, and just running into a lot of people. And again, I think they all respect for what we're doing, but I'm sure like we all have haters, so it is what it is. I don't even think twice about it.
Well, I was thinking back to the question. You know, when you stir up the market and you kind of are innovative and you're doing the different things that you're doing, right, and you're creating a vibe, that could be similar to pissing in someone's Cheerios. I'm
not going to mention any names on here because I'm sure he listens to the podcast. And I remember when I first came into his market and I told him, he heard what I was trying to do. He's like, that guy he doesn't know what he's doing. He'll never pull it off. Now he's selling his company. He's like, F. And we pulled it off. So it is what it is.
Right. Yeah. One of the things I believe in is if you're not innovating, if you're not moving, if you're not moving forward, you're going backwards.
Yeah,
so
my grandpa told me that. My grandpa told me that, I don't know how long we've been in business, like 15 years ago. And my grandpa was a business owner too. And he's like, Jonas, keep dreaming, because if you're not moving forward, you're dying. Like, it's that simple, honestly. Show up every single day, work hard, be a good person, and good things will happen. Like, don't make this harder than it needs to be. Some people make it so hard. Hold up, quick pause. If you're on a pest control company or fertilization weed control company, you're not in our Facebook group, you're choosing the harder path. Every operator that's in there is skipping years of mistakes because people are actually sharing what's working right now. So stop trying to brute force your way through growth alone. Search Pest Control Millionaires on Facebook or click the link below. And now let's get back to it. Okay, we're gonna go. We gotta rewind a little bit. I just like to start the podcast out this way. If we're juniors, sophomore, junior, senior in high school, who are you guys in high school?
That's a good question.
Well, we were the good-looking athletic twins.
Still are.
Right? All the girls loved us in all the towns. And you know what? We had a large network of people growing up, and we weren't afraid to talk to people. We were very social, which also I think really helped out with our success as well. But we played 3 sports in high school, college football players. We didn't come from much. Our mom struggled. She was a waitress. We lived on Section 8 and welfare. But I really think that made us the people who we are today. But we always worked hard.
Yeah, I remember my teachers always told me that I was never going to amount to much because I talk too much. Like, what the F do you know? Like, your teacher making $40,000 a year. Shut up. Nothing wrong with teachers. I'm just saying.
We're teachers, by the way, Jonas. You know that, right?
That's fair. I'm just saying. This is my high school.
But our salaries are definitely they're over $100,000. Okay, they're not $40,000 anymore.
I'm just saying. It was nothing against teachers in general. I just meant like my teachers. Like I remember one specific teacher telling me that. Like I can still remember his face, like what he's wearing, everything. I'll never forget it. He's like, yeah, you just talk way too much. You'll never amount to anything. And like what he told me like then, I was like, he's not wrong. I do talk a lot. I'm always in trouble for talking too much. And I would just, middle of a test, I'll just pick up my desk. I'd just slide it next to my best friend and put my desk next to hers.
But if we asked your coaches, what would they say about you?
That my freshman year, my coach said, you have running backs like Jonas that are too small. So by the time you guys are in juniors and seniors on varsity, that you won't have guys like Jonas as running backs. And again, just one of those times I'll never forget, just that fuel inside of me to prove them wrong. And guess what? When I was it was a long time ago. But I was in varsity football, started both ways, junior year, senior, and I was still a running back. So I was fast as hell.
Right. Even though it was a long time ago, though, Jonas, those are the moments that shape us also.
Absolutely. That's why I remember them. My teacher told me that I talked too much, that I wouldn't amount to anything. The football coach, which loved me, by the way, he didn't mean anything personal by it, but I took it personal. He said, Jonas is too small. He's fast, but he won't be running back when you get to varsity. And I'll never forget it. It's like, cool, you doubted me. Like the banks that doubt you, the people that doubt you, they all force you to be better. Like, cool, bet against me, awesome. Now those same banks that told me no from day one, when I needed the money, they're like begging for the money now, like because I don't need it. Well, no, I'm definitely not going to give you my business now because you didn't want to work with me then.
But if you asked us when we were juniors in high school if we would see ourselves in this situation right now where we're at, the success that we've had, do you think that you would? What do you think you would have thought at that point? Do you think it would have been a possibility?
I think I would have said that we would have been successful, not at this scale, though.
Right. You know, us becoming teachers and coaches and managers of our local beaches, that was our success in 2012. Up to 2012, that we had families, we lived in okay neighborhoods, we had careers, and that was success for us. But that wasn't enough. We wanted more.
Yeah, and then Jason came to me one night. We were drinking at my house in Oceanport, and he brought this crazy idea up. He's like, "What do you think about doing this?"
What was this?
Starting a mosquito control company.
Gotcha.
And he brought up some different franchises. I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't even know there was a thing like that really even existed to treat. I know that obviously pest control, but not mosquito control.
This is 2012, so mosquito control was probably just coming to the market, like right around then. Maybe
it really was, yeah.
That was exactly when it started because the Mosquito Authority was the franchise that I had seen, like maybe in a magazine or something, and it was like, I wonder, this is interesting. And then we had a friend, Holly Migliaccio, who started a coffee shop, and her thing was all about branding and marketing. It was a coffee shop. She crushed it. She's got 15, 20 shops. It's well known in our area, and she does really well. But her main thing was branding. So I knew that with our network and our relationships that, we'd get support. I didn't know if the product was going to work. I didn't know anything about pest control. I didn't know anything about mosquito control. But I knew if we focus on customer service, our employees, and create a cool brand that people would kind of lean into a little bit, that we may be onto something. So I brought it up to Jeremy, and Jeremy was like, what's
I was like, I'm not digging the whole franchise thing because what do you have? You have territories, you have royalties you have to pay. Like, I'm not into that. Not even knowing if this thing would ever work. So I was like, I'll do it, but we'll do it on our own. So
were you guys good employees?
Were we good employees?
Yeah. Like before the business.
Oh yeah. Great. Yeah. So with every position that I've ever had, it was always to strive to get to that next position. Lifeguard, head lifeguard, beach club manager, teacher, administrator. I always wanted to pursue more and more, right? At sports, I always wanted to be the starter, always wanted to be the best, always wanted to, again, I know a lot of people don't like to compare themselves to other people or other things, but I always wanted to make sure that, we were performing at a level of, not just elite, like top. We always want to be the top. Right. So I would say, I think we're good employees. Yeah.
Cool. Did you guys like being told what to do?
I didn't need to be told what to do because we did what we were supposed to do, right? And we'd always go above and beyond. And
yeah, we were doers. We never had to, we were never just standing around doing nothing. We always were doers, always going above and beyond.
Yeah, so that's just why I'm asking the question. So you guys have full-time jobs, careers, and then you go off into this entrepreneurial world that you just bet it on yourself, right? You have no clue if it's ever going to work. So that's why I was just trying to get a feel for like where this fuel, where the entrepreneurship came from.
Well, working being a teacher and a coach and managing this beach club, at that point we were probably making in 2012 maybe $90,000 or total income, and in Monmouth County, New Jersey, you're barely surviving. So we had to do more. We had to figure out something else, and this was it, and it was a low investment.
It was mosquito control that we didn't even know anything about.
No idea. And then I mentioned Brian Hopkins, and he was one of the really awesome guys in our lives, and I'm still dear friends with him today. We travel together down in Georgia. He had this startup company, but he knew pest control. He worked for a pest control company. I reached out to maybe 20, 30 different people across the country that had already started mosquito control. He was one of the guys that reached back out to me, vetted me, making sure that I wasn't in his territory trying to steal any of his customers, but trusted me, came up to New Jersey, kind of showed me what to do, taught me what to do in terms of applications, product to use, equipment. And so we learned that from him. That was one piece that we learned. And I was thinking about this the other day, like our brand and our logo.
Well, you knew from the very start that we didn't want to be that company, I say this all the time, that just throws a magnet on the side of a car, just shows up. We wanted to be that professional company that looked like a franchise, that was super professional, our guys coming up, all in uniform, and all about that branding.
Yeah, I like that. But then you said, I'll do this, but I don't want to do the franchise. I want to do this on my own.
Yep.
So then walk me through the next few months.
So we came up with a name, Last Bite, right? I don't know how we ended up landing on Last Bite. We probably brainstormed on a bunch of different things. But
there's no chat GPT.
No, there wasn't.
ChatGPT. I actually came up with the name Last Bite Mosquito. I remember in a notepad just writing down a bunch of different things. I think we all did it. And then, we came together and we're like, all right, I think that's the one, Last Bite.
Another buddy of mine's artist. He's a graphic design guy from NYT and super awesome artist. He created the logo for us. And at that point, I didn't know that font mattered. I didn't know that color mattered. I didn't know about all these things, but he taught me these things. He showed me. He sketched out maybe 10 different logos. And then we took those 10 logos, we narrowed them down to maybe 3 of them, and then we sent them to our network, our friends and our family, and we said, hey, what do you guys think about this one? Which one do you like the best?
I love that.
And then through that process, we landed on our logo.
And if you look at our logo, you have a girl in a swing under a big green tree with a bubble around it, like a half circle. And it's a genius, she's playing outdoors and she's got this bubble around her. So there's no insects and it has Last Bite next to it.
And then the color green, right, emphasizes nature and clean, so that played a part. And then the font also is specific for, flow and
so all that stuff really matters.
Yeah. So then I built out the website. No idea how to build our website. Jeremy and I had zero business acumen. We had no idea how to operate a business or where it started. But what we did was we wrote everything down. We looked at other people's websites. We kind of said, all right, well, this is what services cost. This is how frequent the services are. And we started plugging away, building out that. We had...
Yeah, I got to the point where I even found another mosquito control company's SOPs and looked at it and kind of dove into it and saw what they were doing. I think one of them was one of the things, they were giving away 100 free treatments.
Possibly, yeah.
And I was like, all right, we got to do that.
So we gave 100 free services out. We had our brand, we had our website, and...
we bought our first truck, was a used truck. I think we got it for $7,000.
$7,000, and it was a great truck. Had low miles on it, and so then that was it.
So we were still young. We went to a Christmas party. I rolled up to this Christmas party in this truck. At this Christmas party, told everybody about it. I think I was giving cards away. It was awesome.
Just hustling.
I
love it. I like that you said that you brought it to your network and you showed your friends and family to let them help decide. I love that. So like with the cover of the book.
I would drive the car all over the place.
We park it in strategic locations, different times of day, just to kind of get like eyeballs on it.
Yeah, 4th of July would park it out where the fireworks were. We did a really good job also getting involved with the community. We did a ton of networking events, got involved with the community, gave back to the community, did a bunch of sponsorships, gave a lot of gift baskets out, and we didn't say this though. I mean, we also went as far as on our phones, reach out to every single person on our phone and introduce the business. I tell people this all the time who are starting a new business and they look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, dude,
Absolutely.
You have these numbers in your phone for a reason. Reach out to every single one of them, and introduce. I don't care if you didn't talk to them the last 10 years. Talk to them and introduce the business to them. And even if they're not going to use you, they can pass the word along.
It's like I think Alex Hermosi talks about in $100 Million Leads book, right? Like you have the context in your phone. Send out 100 a day, text messages, emails, Instagram, Snapchat. Like everyone know that you're starting a business.
Yeah, and that's
It's
free.
not that hard. It's free. Exactly. You have more time. Than you do money when you first start out.
Well, that's what blows my mind is when I see people who have businesses and they have like 3 reviews. I'm like, you know more than 3 people. Like, come on, like, like put a little effort into this.
Yeah.
This matters, you know.
Yeah. So from idea to launch, how long a span is that? A week, 3 weeks, 3 months?
I think we did a nice job at slowly rolling it out from when we built the website to coming up with the business plan.
So the best thing, this probably all happened, maybe let's call it like June. And by the next spring is when it was operating, right?
Yeah.
You know, so we had some time, and that's the best thing about the mosquito business in the Northeast is that it's seasonal.
Yeah, because you guys are teachers, right, at the time?
That right, we're teachers at the time. But we also had in mind that we weren't going to be operating the business either. We weren't servicing jobs ever, unless we had to. And in the beginning, we had to at times because of...
But not many.
Not many. If, we had a respray that we had to do, a special event, someone called out, whatever. I probably count on one hand how many times we had to run a route. So the seasonality is huge because you have a break. You have time to kind of like... game plan for the next season. You have time to break down everything that happened that season and plan. You know, when people get stuck in the day-to-day, every day, and there's no break, there's no time to really like make corrections or fix things, right? Or like, we change our CRM.
That was one of my questions. Did you guys have a CRM year one?
We were using
Field routes?
No.
Google Calendar?
We were using Google Calendar first, and then we got into Jobber. We used Jobber, and then from Jobber, we went to Field Routes. And when we changed from get Jobber to Field Routes, I want to say we had over 1,000, maybe 2,000 customers at that time. And that was a big to do. And if we had to do that in the middle of a season that was just like operating, it would have been very cumbersome and hard and challenging. But we had that off season, and that's when we implemented those changes. So
how did you get, I know you kind of talked about it already, but how did you get your first 1,000 customers, first 100,000? I know you talked about context in your phone, reaching out to everyone like that. Then referral. I'll let you guys tell the story. But
so Jeremy mentioned, the first 100, we offered like, the friends and family thing to, the first 100 people are free. And that kind of jump started us. And then we were very strategic about door hangers, yard signs, the spray signs that Chad makes down in Florida. He's a great guy. He made.
That's where we met.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We got to a point where I really feel that people were seeing our signs on people's property, and they were like, I want that on my property. What is that? Because it was all over the place. So it became so familiar. People were like, almost like fear of missing out. Like, what is that? And so I thought that was the yard signs definitely helped out.
But when we first started, we also did gift cards, right? We had personalized Visa cards that we gave out to people for referrals.
That's right. And they were getting $20.
Right. We did that. I think the door hangers are big. The yard signs, we flooded everywhere.
The
yard
referrals,
signs,
yeah, we said that, right? Yeah.
Frisbees. We would drive around towns and throw frisbees out our window into people's yards. Imagine walk outside your yard, pick up a nice green frisbee with the logo on it. It's what's this?
The parades helped.
Just old school guerrilla marketing.
Yeah, a lot of guerrilla marketing. We had stickers we stuck all over the place. We even had water bottles made with our Last Bite logo on it. And if we ever saw a cop outside working on a hot day, we would give it to him.
Dude, I was so bad. I would be in Home Depot with my business cards, and I would be sliding them into like off boxes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just what it takes early on. It really does.
Yeah. We gave out a lot of stuff too. We would make a lot of t-shirts, and t-shirts, not t-shirts that people wouldn't wear, but t-shirts that, that are nice, good quality. And we gave them away to everyone. We, wasn't during COVID, we made Last Bite t-shirts for cops.
Fire,
yeah. Police fire.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So I want to say the first year we did about like
300?
300.
That's a good first
customers.
Year. Yeah.
Right. It was
300 customers, not 300,000.
300 customers, right? And then from there, we just we're doubling. We went from 300, I want to say, to 1,200 to...
No, we went from 300 to 700 to about 1,500.
Okay. And
we just kept on almost doubling.
2,500, 4,000. Yeah, we were growing very quickly. And, a couple of things that attributed to our success after, year 3 was really important hires. We had some really good key hires that we kind of we onboarded, and they were first looked at as a part-time employee, just kind of help us with the phones and scheduling and routing. And then this person turned out to be like this amazing person that would, you don't want to bother your employees after hours, but that was something that was important for me and us as we were growing and building, because, again, we were teachers and we had to deal with a lot of stuff in the after hours. She was on board for it. She understood our vision. She understood our passion.
She understood the importance of simply picking up the phone at 10 o'clock if someone called. I mean, we went that far. And Jason and I, we are the ones who actually did all that prior to this hire. I mean, we were coming home from school. We were scheduling. We were talking to our technicians. We were doing everything. And then, these key hires, such as Margot, she came in and she bought in, and she jumped right on with the same mindset.
As far as technicians, because they're only, let's say, 7-8 months out of the year, do you get the same ones come back every year? Do you have had to find new ones? What are the challenges with that?
So in education, I was fortunate enough to build a lot of relationships with a lot of kids who went to the community college. So we were able to hire a lot of my ex-students, and I was always had the right pickings for these guys year after year. Some stayed on, college lasts 4 years. Some stayed on a little bit longer after that, but we always had a good group of kids who were able to join the Last Bite family.
That was an advantage for us. It was definitely challenging, as we grew, right? And it's seasonal employment.
Some of those schools don't get out to early June, but you guys are spraying in May. So
right.
Yeah.
And so we had a good amount of our retention was really good with our employees. I'm going to say about 80% year after year, but during those hiring phases, it's a revolving door. It's for every, and it was literally, these stats are probably dead on. For every 100 people we were interviewing, we had kept 5.
And how was licensing there? Was it hard to get them certified?
No, they had to sit through a class. What is it, a 4-hour class or something like that?
RP class,
to do it. Yeah. Basic core.
Yeah, the basic core class. They'd sit through that. Insurance is tough, getting them approved as, all those, struggles, it's difficult. But we made it work again. And not only Margot, we hired another guy, Anthony Misha, who was a great tech for us. And then he got promoted into a lead tech and then into an ops manager. Marissa, who is amazing with dispatching. And, those are all key hires that started with us as employees who worked their way up. And that was something really important to us also, is to kind of hire within. And that's something we never hired somebody from outside that had experience. And, maybe I'm very happy with the decision we made of exiting the business when we did. But who's to say, we're at $5 million in revenue and we're like, all right, let's, double down on this and hire a COO or like this guy who has experience of scaling, growing business even larger to, 15, 20, 30, $40 million, right? That, us hitting that $5 million mark, knowing that we could exit at, a very nice multiple, was like a home run for us. That was like our us hitting that, that lottery. But who knows, if we sat down and interviewed some really talented people, that could have been a different opportunity. But I always talk to people about what's important to them, right? I know guys that are happy to make a $20 million earnout after selling their business. And other guys are like, no, I want 50, I want 70, I want 80, I want 90, 100, right? I'm like, oh, okay, well, and I can't knock them for that, right? That's their mindset and that's what they want. And that wasn't us. Again, we came from nothing. Not that these other guys don't, but this was good enough for us, for sure.
So what ultimately made you guys decide to sell? Like, what was the decision?
The liability is huge when you get to the size of a business that we had. We had over 75 employees. We had over 55 trucks on the road. So that liability in itself was it was good enough for me, and I was happy with that number where we're at to say, you know what, I'm good, because it's stressful, right? And I have a family, and I know I had a good career teaching and still my summers off and had other opportunities. So I was good where I was at.
I have two questions. One, why do you guys only stuck to mosquito control, never got sidetracked into pest control, which is pretty cool?
So we had two businesses. So we started originally off with Last Bite Mosquito Control, and we ran that and operated that for about 4 years. And we had so many customers asking us, do you guys take care of general pest control? And we referred that business to another lady called owned a company called Turner Pest Control. The old man passed away and she was selling the business, and it was a good opportunity for Jason and I to buy it. I think we got it for like $100,000. So now we had a sister company that we ended up naming Total Home. So we had Last Bite Mosquito and Tick Control and Total Home Pest Control. And we built that up to $1 million company.
So when you sold, did you sell both, or did you only sell the mosquito company?
We sold both.
You did?
Yeah,
gotcha.
We sold both, yeah.
So did you take, I'm assuming that you took like again, I'm just guessing, that, your employees from mosquito that want to stay year round put on the pest control route for the winter?
No, we had separate. We had a couple guys that
bounced back and forth,
or that we promoted into pest control role for Total Home. But we had experienced pest control technicians that actually knew pest control as technicians for
Gotcha.
Total Home.
So did someone approach you guys to sell, or did you guys together be like, oh, this is super stressful, it's hard?
Well, so that's a good question. So, throughout our 10-year of operating the business, Jeremy mentioned about, stressful situations. We had major accidents and vehicles. We dealt with like situations with employees and lawsuits. We had a guy try to sue us for killing $70,000 of landscaping on his property, which wasn't us. At that point, I think we were servicing like 350 accounts a day, and that one house happened to, all the stuff died on his property. He was some contractor guy that was just like nasty and dirty. I wouldn't be surprised if someone just went to his house and sprayed Roundup on everything. But the finger got pointed at us, and we had to go through that, and that was stressful.
Very stressful. The bigger that you get, the more targets you get on your back.
Right. And each time we had, and we were very big on social media and getting out there, and and the more we did that, like you said, the more more visible you are, more targets you get on your back. So throughout the year, I mentioned Ryan Clattisburg earlier in this recorded. He was another guy that he was about a year ahead of us, and we had really good relationships within business. And he had sold his business, and he introduced me to Potomac and the Boardroom Buzz, and I started listening to the Buzz, and I started getting interested in M&A and what that looks like and what the possibilities are. So he went through the process. I got on a phone call with Paul Gianamore and started talking about our business and going over our goals and what we possibly would want to exit for. And he kind of guided us. Between him and Franco, we came up with exit strategy. And at that point, prior to that, I didn't even know what an exit strategy was. I thought we were just going to continue to grow the business and and collect as much money as possible until either people stopped using mosquito control or something bad happened. Who knew?
And were you guys on the same page? Like, hey, let's go bring this to market?
Yeah, we were both on the same page for sure.
Yeah, I think Jeremy may have been a little. I think he was ready a little earlier than I was, but
can be, yeah. Probably.
Who's the older?
I'm older. I know it doesn't look that way, but I'm older.
Just curious, like by how much?
6 minutes.
A whole 6 minutes. Yeah.
And I hold it to him.
That's funny. So you're ready to sell first? Then you came around.
So there was an opportunity there, but I'm happy, we did what we did and went through Potomac, and they did a great job of guiding us. Yeah.
Yeah. So he brings it to market for you guys. You guys start getting offers.
Before that, we had people knocking on our doors, just like everyone else who's growing. They're getting letters in their mail. People are reaching out to them, knocking on their doors. We had Dr. Who was it? Lawn Doctor. We sat down with them at an earlier stage. I think we might have had like maybe 7 trucks on the road at that point in time, but we weren't ready at that point. But when we got, when you have 50 trucks on the road and 75 employees and, you're treating almost 500 houses a day, that's a lot of stress.
Yep. And you guys still have full-time jobs at that point too?
Yeah, we never stopped. Because we had a great team of people.
Right. I think with the systems and the procedures we put in place and the guys that we have operating the business on a daily basis and the expectations we set, I think we create this awesome situation for us in the way the business ran. But you were asking about our exit and how that went. We actually sat down with Paul Bergman prior to us exiting. That was another guy we sat down with who essentially brought us down the road. But, we were getting offers for millions of dollars less, prior to working with Potomac. And with Potomac, they were able to get that multiple up. I think it's the network of buyers that they have access to and the strategic process that they kind of put together for you in an exit. So, I attribute a lot of our success with our exit to them, because we're seasonal also. That was another hard thing about us too, is that the seasonality is like, that market kind of shrinks a little bit more too. The fact that we were to get the multiple we got was probably because Franco's a bulldog. He's, Franco, right? I mean, come on.
There's a good tandem there.
Yeah.
So you guys exit. And then do you have, is your exit say, hey, you have to work with us for a year? Or when you did it assigned, did you get to walk away? Walk us through that.
That was an interesting, process. So we stayed on for a year and we had a few different type of goals. We had to hit
5 million in revenue.
5 million in revenue, but we also had to retain, I want to say 80% of our reoccurring revenue, right? So that was another factor. And then there's also another caveat. If we didn't hit that $5 million in revenue, for every, I want to say, I don't know if it was like every 100,000 or for, what was it? It was like a percentage. For every percentage under the amount, like it got the multiple extended with how much less we would be getting. But luckily, we were very confident in hitting our numbers because we wouldn't have agreed to it. And then also, whenever you're being acquired, the people who are buying you want to see you successful also because, you know, they don't want to have that negativity or that bad blood between you and them at the end of the day, because then it doesn't make them look good either, right? They don't want to have a bad deal. They want you to be successful just as much as they want to be successful.
Yeah. So how was the first deposit? How did it change your life? Like, what was that feeling like?
I didn't though. I mean, at that time, I think we were making close to $1 million a year each. And I'm funny when it comes to money and stuff. It's not like it didn't make me feel anyway. I mean, I was happy, and I attributed this. I said this also, like we won states in back to high school, right? These little moments, right? You win state championship in high school. We were pretty big parts of our team, and it's like, all right, now what? Like it's like now what's next, right? Like what are we going to do now? Like, you know, I don't know.
No, you're right. It was just like, all right, the next day, it wasn't a big deal.
I'll tell you a cool moment though. We didn't have a celebratory dinner, but I had a birthday party at a country club that I went to the night we closed. And
was I there?
No, you weren't there.
That's messed up.
No, he wasn't there. It was a birthday party. He wasn't invited to. And I get home and there's this package on my kitchen island, and I open it and it says Rolex. And a handwritten letter, and it's from my brother, just thanking me for this awesome journey that we went through. And so that was a really cool gift from this whole experience. The money thing, the wow factor of, you know, that a lot of it, I'm doing it for myself and I'm doing it for my family, you know, for them down the road. And I'm still trying to, I guess, navigate that a little bit.
They'll be celebrating when you're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you guys, like, how was it working for them for the next year? Did things change? Was it harder?
No, you know, again, I give Paul Bergman a lot of credit because he was great. He's a man of his word. And
he guaranteed that it would be business as usual. Nothing's going to change. And they kept their word on that.
Yeah, because we were concerned because, you know, whenever there's a big event like this and you have a company like Anti-Cemix coming in and taking all your customers, some customers don't like that. And we felt if that word got out, we were going to lose customers. So that was a fear of ours, but they did a really nice job of keeping that like under the radar, and we maintained the face of the business. We continued to operate in the business for that next year. And everything went really well.
How do you break the news to your employees?
So that happened the first day, and
the night before.
It happened
the day before. So
were you both there for that?
Yeah, and we only did it to our key employees. Like we did it to management, key long-term employees. We sat them down for either lunch, breakfast, or dinner that day, and we let them know that tomorrow we are Vikings coming in and that we're going to, you know, we sold the business, but we want you to stay on. This is what to expect. And if you help us hit these goals, we're going to give you X amount of dollars. And there were significant earnouts goals for them. So, you know, they were kind of tied to it and they appreciated it. And it was strategic. It worked out really well.
There was definitely a lot of tears.
A lot of tears, yeah.
Happy, sad, all the above.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Are any of them still there?
There's a handful of people still working for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So you work for them for a year. Obviously, everything goes good. Get the second deposit. Doesn't really change your life. But then how do you stay motivated to do your next thing? So obviously, the money's there. You don't have to wake up as early, right?
No, I mean we did because we were still teachers. We didn't give that up.
You asked if we're good employees. We're really good employees.
Yeah. We love what we do as educators. Do we have to do what we do as educators? No, but I do, and I know Jason does. We really enjoy what we do.
Do you still teach now, both of you?
We still teach, yep. But why do we go back into business? Service. This new company called Rough Stuff. It's a pooper scooper company. Is because we had a great team of people who no longer worked for for Last Bite or Viking, and we had an opportunity to start a new business with them, and
they were knocking on our door for over a year, bugging us to start. Not all of them, one of them. Margot, I love her.
Why do you choose pooping scooping? It's a great industry, but what was exciting about that?
Exciting. I don't know if there's anything really exciting about it, but I think the fact that it's reoccurring based, right? And there's
no one's in the market. The market's not saturated.
It's just like an easy thing to do. I feel like it's kind of like what
low entry.
There's a low entry to market. And there's not a lot of people doing it the way we would do it in terms of like creating a brand, offering this amazing customer service, this awesome experience. So we ran with it.
You have more cash to throw into it to grow it faster.
Right.
So you're in a different spot. You can hire. You could pay $10,000 a month if you need to pay employees. You get it off the ground, and it's definitely easier the second time around.
Right. So Jeremy mentioned our team. So we have three other partners outside of Jeremy and I who really help with the day-to-day stuff. So we gave them equity in the business, and they're operating the business.
Do they have to earn equity, or do you just give it to them right off the rip? I
just gave it to them. They're people I trust, I respect, and it's sweat equity. They're working. Yeah. So, so year one, what are we in? Like maybe 200 customers, but this year really came around. We're at about 500 customers. We just picked up the 5th truck yesterday.
It's still early. It's not even spring yet.
I know. Well, so I said this to someone the other day. When we first started mosquito control, we had a big event with Zika. Zika was like a big thing, and that was all over the news, and we were able to highlight that. And that kind of like, all right, well, we got this awesome service that could protect you from mosquitoes. Boom. We had this crazy snowstorm like you did this year, but it was so cold. The snow stuck around for like a month and a half.
Such a long time.
And everyone's dog, it pooped all over it melted, and their backyards are disasters. Like, and here we are, we're just feeding, the algorithm and social media and Meta, and our phone's ringing off the hook. Boom, boom, boom. We have phone calls from our team. You got to turn this off. We can, this is what you wanted. You wanted this. Let's go. Come on. Like, figure it out. So we're buying new trucks, hiring more people. But it was on the news. Like, there's shit everywhere. There's shit on the sidewalks. Like, it was so, it was all over the place. So I think something like that kind of helped us a little bit. And now with like our trucks rolling around town and our signage and our social media presence, I think it's getting legs.
Are you doing anything different than you did with the pest control company as far as getting off the ground? Same guerrilla style marketing online?
Same guerrilla style marketing online. I have not dove into as much of the networking groups as I should. After this, I'm gonna jump over to one just to introduce it to people, because that's the thing, right? You have to make people knowledgeable about this service. A lot of people just don't know about it.
Yeah. And then tell me about the podcast with the Boardroom Buzz. How did that ever shake out?
Paul and Franco had us down like as a celebratory thing down in Puerto Rico. It had a bunch of the guys that they sold down there, and they were recording a series for their podcast.
I remember when I was actually invited there, and I should have went.
You should have went. It was a great time. A lot of fun.
Was that the same time like Seth was out there, and then like all those guys?
Was Seth out there? No, I don't.
Seth wasn't out there. No,
Seth wasn't there at the time.
Kyle was there.
Kyle
Turner.
Yeah. Yep. Ben was there.
Big Ben.
There were several of us out there, but
what's his name? What's Aquaman's name? Was he out there then?
Andrew.
Yeah. He was there. Yeah. He's the best. Yeah.
But yeah, I was invited there. I should have went. Dang it.
We'll make it happen. We'll have to do it again.
So Paul's just finishing up an episode with somebody, and I'm just like talking to him. Like, dude, like someone's got to interview you, man. You're like you're so interested in yourself. Like you're part of all these amazing deals. He's like, yeah. He's like, do you want to interview me? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I guess I can. So he made it happen. So we set up a time, and I think he did one. Did we interview him after?
Yeah.
And then
No, we did it once. We did it was the 200th episode of the Boardroom Buzz.
right. So we interviewed Paul, and then from there, after interviewing him, they asked us to kind of continue, hosting it and getting operators on. And I'm like, all right, this is a pretty cool way to kind of stay involved and, keep our feet in the pest control industry.
Yeah, meet new people, network.
Right.
So that was it. That's just how it happened.
That was it. That's all. That's the whole side of that story is that, I asked him if he ever wanted to be, if he ever been interviewed or done a podcast, someone interviewing him. And so that's what happened.
Is he gonna come back on soon?
We mentioned maybe he'll do some guest appearances.
Yeah, that's the plan, trying to get him on maybe a quarterly or a monthly basis. But he's so busy and everything else that he's doing with all the deals that he's working. So we'd love for him to come back on whenever he can. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when, but the goal is to get him back on.
Yeah. What's the goal for you guys for the next year, personally, in business with the new company?
For the business goal is to, have a similar event that we did with Last Bite. I don't know the time frame of that realistically would be, if it's 5 or.
I think you guys can do it way faster this time.
No, you're right. Exactly. So, once we kind of have all of our KPIs dialed in terms of, what's working marketing wise and how much customer acquisition costs are, we'll throw more money at it for sure. But my thing is I don't want to be stressed out, doing this. This is supposed to be something fun and exciting.
Yeah.
And
He actually mentioned the other day, he's like, I'm done. I can sell this tomorrow. I don't have to do this podcast. I don't need to be stressed. I'm okay.
Yeah.
It's true. But as long as we're having fun and we're growing something, I think we'll continue to do it.
Yeah. And you asked that's the business goal, but personally it's just kind of continue to be the best version of myself, help as many people as possible, be involved in, as many things realistically without burning myself out, and have fun, be an amazing husband, an amazing father to my wife and to my kids. And just, again, just continue to grow and move in the right direction.
Yeah, just continue to be the best version of ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys will continue being educators forever?
Forever? No, I don't know about forever.
What's that plan look like?
Yeah.
So I don't know. So 50. I could be 55 years old and be done teaching. Definitely won't go anything longer than 55. I can maybe. What am I going to do if I'm not teaching? I got to do something. It's like a part-time job. Jonas, I am done teaching by 2:00. I start teaching at 9:00. I have 3 periods off. I give all I can to these kids, and then I go home, and then I have my kids, and we have the summers and the breaks. It's a great career. I really enjoy it. So to give that up to do what? What am I going to do? Start another business?
What Jeremy said, 181 days out of the year, you work until 2:00, you get the vacations. It's great. I think about, when my kids go off to college, I think that may be a time I step back from education and spend time traveling more to where my kids are at. Depends on where they end up. But, again, I don't know what I'm going to do every day, all day until that point. So that's why I was asking you about your pilot stuff, because that always interests me.
There's lots
also.
of questions. I assumed there was questions for a reason.
Yeah, we got to do something. You have to do something. So until I find that other something, I'm going to continue doing what I know I enjoy.
Cool. I love that. Where did you guys learn to grow the business? Well, obviously doing it, but did you guys have any help along the way? How to grow the thing, how to do the marketing,
No, it was just all by, someone told me once, you never steal, but you can steal with your eyes and your ears. So I always was I always watched what other people do, or what the people that were ahead of us were doing, and grabbed ideas, and I watched how they did it. And I'm like, all right, let's do this and maybe, change it around a little bit. So, we learn by doing, we learn by asking questions, by building relationships, leaning into other people. But there's no true like class that we learned how to do this. Again, the only way you really learn how to do it is by doing it.
Yeah, and there's very, very few people that I know, but I know a handful, that started a business and didn't work in the field from day one. And you guys pulled it off.
Oh, that's a good point. I mean, a lot of people that we've had on just a podcast is thinking about a lot of people in pest control. They had door-to-door knock-in experience where they worked for Orkin back in the day. They always had some type of experience.
But you guys kept full time. But every time that I hear the same story, like, kind of repeats itself. Most of those guys had other jobs, other careers. I started this on the side. Some of them left when they got to a certain period in revenue and came working in the company. But you guys stayed out the entire time. That on its own is impressive. It's cool. And I think that's how businesses should be ran. So you can look at that from a bird's eye view all the time. And don't get so like over emotional about it. Like, you just have the data, go off the data, use that to judge your performance and all your people, and you guys did a great job of it. So congratulations.
Thank you, man.
Super cool. Well, I know that I told you we'd only go like 45 minutes to an hour, and we are already over an hour, probably going an hour and a half. So I know you guys are busy people, but I just wanted to say thank you for being here today. I appreciate you guys. I love what you guys are doing for the industry. You guys are obviously well-liked, well-received. Just keep doing what you're doing, and I appreciate you guys.
You're the man, Jonas. Thank you for having us on.
Jonas, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Talk to you guys soon. Peace.
Thanks, brother. Later.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Pest Control Millionaire. We don't charge any money for the show, but the podcast isn't free. Please like and subscribe and give us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app. This makes a huge difference for us. If you have any specific questions about your business or your personal life that you'd like answered by me or any of my podcast guests, please send an email to info@pestcontrolmillionaire.com. And if you want to get in touch with me about our marketing class, we do a live version every Thursday night. Check out our website at pestcontrolmillionaires.com. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you guys in the next one.